I'm Greg Tepper. That's Greg Powers. And this is This Week
in Cruton.
It's This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers of Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter at GPowerScout. Follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter at NextLevelD1 and see his fine work at TexasFootball.com/recruiting. Right? Yeah. TexasFootball.com/recruiting.
Sounds right.
That sounds right. And
the
of
math
course,
checks out.
I was more thinking about this because this segment is of course brought to you by our good chicken friends at Chicken Express.
Oh,
Chicken Express.
It slaps.
You heard the lady. It
Nice.
slaps.
It is fresh, and you can taste the difference.
That's good. That's good stuff.
I thought it slaps really just put it into perspective for people.
I don't know.
That's a ringing endorsement if you ask me.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you, but yeah.
Well, we can put the two together. It's fresh, and you can taste the difference. It
Comma,
slaps.
it slaps.
This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers, Next Level Athlete. A lot to get to this week, Greg. Let's start with our prospect on the rise. Our prospect on the rise is a guy I believe we've talked about on this segment before, but it is Bellville 2022 running back Richard Reese, who picked up an offer this week from Baylor and then was like, yeah, it works, and committed to Baylor. 3 days later, he had some offers from Texas State and Houston Baptist. This was his first Power 5 offer. I was a little surprised to read that was his first Power 5 offer because I think Richard Reese is a real star. And I think Baylor getting in there early and being the first Power 5 offer, I think they're going to be glad they did that because they're getting a pretty good running back there from Bellville.
I really like his tape. I mean, he's really shifty in space and has a unique running style. I mean, sometimes you can look at a running back and say, oh, well, he's a traditional running back. You know, like he looks like a lot of other top running backs. But by and large, some of the guys who work out the best once they arrive on the college scene are these guys who are different. He's speedy. I mean, speed is the name of his game. He's a 22, 1-2, I think, 200-meter guy. So he has good top-end speed, long-distance speed, and he has a frame at 5'10", 175, 180 that I think will fit well in the Big 12 and the Baylor offense. So I think this is a really big pickup for Baylor on multiple levels. And credit to their coaching staff for what they're doing in recruiting this year. They have a number of commitments in this class of guys who are kind of off the normal recruiting radar. And when I say normal recruiting radar, I'm saying like maybe some of the bigger sites don't know about these guys, but like when I look at the Next Level Athlete scouting system and how we've rated some of these commitments, they're guys who were rated to go to P5 level, but nobody else has realized it yet.
Yeah.
But Baylor has. So a little bit of credit to their staff and what they're doing there.
Getting in on that ground floor there, and you know, we talk all the time about being that first, how important being first is. You know, obviously, yeah, he had offers from Texas State and from Houston Baptist, but getting that first Power 5 offer, that's a difference maker. That's what stands out, and I don't think necessarily a surprise. You know, he is, you know, Bellville, he's central-ish Texas guy. You know, he wants to be. It makes a lot of sense there for Baylor, a guy relatively in their backyard to go and grab him like that.
By the way, Bellville, maybe my favorite nickname. I love the Brahmas.
The Brahmas, yeah, they are.
You say it better than me.
I
but
do.
yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
I was going to say,
It
but you
says it
can
all
go
official.
either way, technically, correct?
Yeah. Right.
When
yeah.
I'm sitting in,
Well, I always say that Brahmas, because nobody gets mad at you if you say Brahmas and it's actually Brahmas.
Yeah.
But if you say Brahmas and it's actually Brahmas, they'll yell at you. So that's exactly. Anyway, big get for them from down in Austin County as they get Richard Reese, the running back from Bellville. Let's move on to our commit of the week. Our commit of the week, and again, we're going Cy Ranch again.
back-to-back weeks.
Cy Ranch on a heater. We're talking about their 2022 defensive tackle, Chibby. Hold on. I can get it. Chibby Nwajuaka.
Got it.
Nwajuaka. That's right.
Chibby!
Because you sent me the pronunciation. Chibby Nwajuaka, the defensive tackle, is committed to Rice. He had offers from a variety of different places, including a couple of Ivy Leagues, Columbia and Dartmouth, as well as a pair of service academies.
So what you're saying
Air
is
Force
this
and
kid's
Army.
a genius.
Kid's pretty smart, and he's a pretty darn good football player as well. Pretty athletic up there up front as he is, as Chibby is heading to the Rice Owls.
I really like this pickup too, and you look at his offer list. Really, the first two guys that we've kind of talked about, the offer list doesn't really necessarily match the talent, and I think that's a product of what we're going through in this year, where the 85 scholarship number hasn't changed, and it's going to have, I think, a real effect on who signs what players in this class. This is a steal for Rice because this is a guy with a huge ceiling. 6'3", 245 now. He understands how to use his hands. He plays with a consistently low pad level, and he's strong for his height and weight combo, and he's going to get bigger. So, I mean, if you just throw the freshman 20 on him, 6'3", 265. And if he adds a bonus 10, you're talking about a very athletic guy at 275, 280 pounds that can slide inside and cause a lot of disruption. And you had Alex Brown, the recruiting coordinator for Rice, on a couple weeks ago for Big Guest Thursday, and he kind of talked about extending committable offers. Well, they found a guy here who they would take any day of the week.
Yeah, most certainly. This is a really, really nice get there. And again, you know, in their backyard, they're in Houston, and having that advantage there of knowing the brand, knowing the brand there in Rice and understanding what you're getting there. But getting a guy like Chibby Nwajuaka is a really impressive get there for Rice up front in a place. And by the way, I will say this. A place that sometimes they struggle to get guys.
Right.
They struggle to get quality up front. It feels like they can usually find quarterbacks. They can usually find receivers, running backs, offensive linemen. But on the defensive front, I think it's fair to say that they have sometimes struggled to consistently get guys. But here's one that you mentioned, committable offers. They get a guy in their backyard in Chibby Nwajuaka to be their man in the middle.
Rice is never going to be that school that you look up the top 50 national rankings and Rice is going to be in it. They're not going to be that school. But credit to what they've done, really, not only last year but the year before and going into this year, they're getting guys this is what you want to see if you're a Rice fan. Can this guy play? Yes. The answer is yes. And that's kind of how I do my own personal ratings if I'm talking to a college coach. If they ask me, I say this guy can play. Or if he can't play, I'll just say I don't know if he can play or not. And the answer to a lot of the guys that they have, those dudes can play, and they're getting guys who can impact the roster.
Most certainly. We're talking This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers, the Next Level Athlete, here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, #TF Today. Let's get to our underclassmen of the week. Our underclassmen of the week, I don't know, have we ever talked about a Lake Travis quarterback as far as recruiting is concerned?
There's probably been a couple.
No.
I
don't think so.
I can't think of 30 Lake Travis quarterbacks.
The math does not add up.
Doesn't add up. The next one up is Bo Edmundson. He is going to take over the reins of this offense full time. You remember he stepped in last year because Nate Yarnell hurt his hand.
I don't remember.
Something. He had some sort of injury.
Thumb?
Yeah, something like that. But Bo Edmundson stepped in and I thought played pretty darn well as a sophomore. He will now be the guy heading into 2021. He is going to be a junior quarterback there at Lake Travis, and if past is any pretense, probably got a good one there for the Cavaliers.
I'd agree. He's 6'2", 6'3", in that 195, 200-pound range right now, and he looked pretty good last year, kind of got his name on the radar early. This week he picked up a new offer from Kentucky in the SEC, but his list is getting pretty impressive. I think he's nearing 10 offers. He also has SMU, UTSA, in-state, and then some Power 5 offers from schools like Michigan State, Oklahoma State, Penn State, Purdue, and Utah. Pretty good list coming together. And, of course, there have been quarterbacks from this school that have gone on to do big things, right? So we know that he is going to be a good fit in whatever college offense that he picks. But I'm really excited this year to see what he can do as the full-time starter. He's the guy now. And he stepped in for who was the guy last year and didn't miss a beat, kind of giving a preview of what his future could be. But now that it's his team, what is it going to be like? And they qualified for the state 7-on-7 tournament in the first tournament. Their first state qualifier last year, so I bet you he was slinging it.
Well, and it's obviously he's got the tools, and obviously he's got the frame to do it. But like the one thing I think people maybe don't necessarily understand, like when you've got a place like Travis where they consistently put out great quarterbacks like this, how do they do it? I mean, there's just a development that goes on there that is awfully impressive, and it's one of those things that it kind of feeds on itself. That like, You develop a great quarterback like Garrett Gilbert, and that helps you develop a great quarterback like Baker Mayfield. That helps you develop a great quarterback like Nate Yarnell, right? I'm missing 50 quarterbacks in between those, but basically it builds on itself, and they have got it down to a science there, like Travis, and Bo Edmundson's just kind of next up in line.
The question is who's after Bo? You know what I mean? That's
right.
really the question. You know it's going to be someone that's going to be playing D1, but who's it going to be?
Yeah. It's remarkable.
And they
what
start
they've
him so young too.
Yes.
Like the process doesn't just start in high school or
he
junior
doesn't show
high.
up as he doesn't show up as a junior and suddenly he's their quarterback.
Right.
No,
they mold them so young.
Most certainly. So he is our underclassman of the week. And finally, let's round it all out with our recruit of the week. Our recruit of the week is Galena Park North Shore cornerback Denver Harris, who is a newly minted 5-star prospect, according to Dave Campbell's Texas Football, the third 5-star prospect in the class of 2022, joining Quinn Ewers, the quarterback of South Lake Carroll, and Kelvin Banks Jr., the offensive tackle from Humble Summer Creek. Look, what is there to say? He's a 5-star guy here at Dave Campbell's Texas Football, which means we are saying that he is one of the 5 best prospects in the state of Texas in the class 2022.
I feel good about this one.
Yes.
I feel good about this one. What you always worry about when you make someone a 5-star is, will you have to take his 5th star away?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or will there be somebody that jumps up to take his place? You know, because within our ranking system in recruiting, the top 5 guys are 5-stars. You know, so if someone ever asks me the question, what do I got to do to be a 5-star? The answer is pretty simple. Get into the top 5.
Yeah.
And then you'll be a 5-star. We have 3 so far. The question now is, who will join these guys? You know, this is a pretty strong group, and there's a pretty good group. The next 9 to 10 prospects after them who are all vying for those final 2 5-star spots. But I feel like Denver Harris is a guy that we won't have to worry about. He's a bona fide 5-star, and I think he's like more of a consensus type of 5-star too now.
Well, and one thing I'll say about this, about Denver Harris and watching him, and everything in the world has been written about him. I think one of the things that always stands out to me when I watch his tape is, I don't know, I think people maybe think of cornerbacks and they think of them basically like being obviously playing in the secondary with safeties, but being different from playing safeties. Like it's safeties' jobs to be physical, and it's cornerbacks' jobs to be quick and agile. I think this is one of the most physical cornerbacks I've seen in a long time, and he is a guy who wants to hit. He doesn't want to knock the ball away. I mean, he does. But what he wants to do is he wants to lay the lumber as well. That's one thing that always impresses me about watching his film. This is a physical cornerback who you put him in jam coverage, you do whatever you need to. He can do it out there because he's not afraid of contact.
I agree with you. He's the 21 6A Defensive Player of the Year as a corner.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that probably I'd be interested to see if that's ever happened.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a corner that's been the MVP of that district? I don't know. It's not an easy thing to do because that honor usually goes to a linebacker or a safety or an off chance that it could go to a defensive end who gets after the quarterback. But rarely do you ever see a corner being the top guy in the district.
Let me put you on the spot here because basically this is not going to surprise anybody, but he's got offers from everywhere. He's most seriously considering Texas A&M, Alabama, LSU. He's a 5-star. You're already making declarations about him. Do you have a feeling on where he's leaning, or is it still too early?
A lot of people feel like Texas is in a really good spot in this recruitment, and this is one of the type of guys that I feel like Sark needs to land to start to change, especially the culture on the defensive side of the football in Austin. Mm-hmm. So I think this is like a marquee recruit for this class for Texas. Mm-hmm. That being said, Alabama gets the last official visit. And something struck me, and just reading about, his official visits and where he was going to go. Alabama asked to get the last official visit, and he was like, okay. So there's a reason why they wanted it. Yeah. There's a reason why they wanted that last official visit. Alabama does a great job not only signing top defensive backs across the country, they have traditionally done well in the state of Texas. So I would give a slight edge to Texas right now, but not rule out somebody like Alabama who's going to get that last chance of having him on campus. That could be a huge thing. I mean, that's the visit that he'll be able to compare all of the other visits to. So that does give the Crimson Tide some advantage in that recruitment.
It's really funny, too, when we were sitting there watching his film, that you expect a pretty big celebration after an interception, and he just kind of walks it off because that's the norm. Like, you can see that happening throughout all of those highlights, as it was like, oh, yeah, another interception, just kind of walks off the field like, yep, I did my thing again.
Another guy who does his thing again every week.
Yes.
It's Greg Powers, Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter at GPowerScout. Follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter at Next Level D1. See his fine work at TexasFootball.com/recruiting. And stick around, Powers, because I need you to introduce the next segment.
I'm ready for it.